What was supposed to be a night of celebration turned into disaster after 4 friends who were all drunk left the bar in the city without a designated driver. Designate a driver. Don't drink and drive.
This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Friday, the 24th day of January in the year 2025. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting, and here's what we're tracking tonight. The national budget debate opened this morning with opposition Member of Parliament Fernandes hitting out at the government over its economic policies, which she believes have left Guyanese poorer than before. MP Fernandes said despite oil wealth flooding the treasury and a massive budget of $1.382 trillion, the country's poverty rate has worsened to 48%.
This is a stark reality of PPP's governance. We're spending over $3 trillion in oil revenues from 2020 to 2024 has left our people poorer than they were before. By the end of 2025, the PPP will have spent $4.7 trillion, over $22 million per household. Yet, walk through any community in Guyana, speak to any family and ask them, are you $22 million better off? The answer echoes through every market, every street, every home, no. Instead, working families struggle harder than ever to survive in a country that paradoxically boasts the highest GDP per capita.
Accusing the administration of using the country's financial resources to enrich a few, the opposition MP said the high level of mismanagement taking place is a systematic betrayal of the Guyanese people. She told the assembly that the salary increases offered to public servants are no match to the high inflation rate.
According to the Bureau of Statistics, data from the Urban Consumer Price Index shows that from 2019 to 2024, inflation went up by 20%. And worse, from 2019 to 2024, food inflation went up by 44.8%. Inflation in food items does not affect the wealthy, Mr. Speaker. It affects the working class, and it is detrimental to the working poor. With the inflation rate of food at 44.8% from 2019 to 2024, the current administration was proud to announce wages and salaries for the period for just 35%.
Additionally, Fernandes said the government has failed to adjust the minimum wage. She pointed out that between 2015 and 2019, the APNU-AFC government increased wages and salaries by 77%, when inflation only increased by 5.4%. She said even as Guyanese continue to battle high food prices and the majority may be struggling with their salaries, the government has been on a boring binge.
From 2020 to 2025, sir, the PPP added a debt burden of $5.9 million to every household in Guyana. $5.9 million is not a small amount to the struggling families who are barely surviving paycheck to paycheck, sir. $5.9 million should have been used to take people from below the poverty line and providing them with a decent standard of living, sir. But instead, the increasing debt is being used to further enrich the wealthy while leaving the poor to help pay that bill.
The opposition MP said while 57% of Guyana's population cannot afford anything beyond the most basic essentials of life, the government has decided to saddle them with $5.9 million in debt per household. Further, she said it was disingenuous for the government to compare the debt to GDP using non-oil GDP during the coalition administration to oil-included GDP under the current administration. From 2020 to 2024, the non-oil economy of Guyana grew by 36% in total. However, Fernandes said the stock of public debt grew by a staggering 253%, which represents a 7% growth in debt for every 1% growth in the economy. She said the PPP increased the national debt by 18 times as much as the coalition government, spent $2.1 trillion more than the coalition did, and has only delivered 17% more growth than the coalition delivered. More news coming up in just a moment.
It all starts with one. Maybe it's one look, you know the one, or one touch, even one word. It can start with one step, or one promise, one thrill, one first time, one deep breath, one leap of faith, one day to remember, or one night to forget. One moment, so many stories that make up one crazy, average, everyday, fabulous life. We get one life, just one. Make your move. It all starts with one.
Your own home is so much more than just four walls, floors, and ceilings. It's a lifetime of great memories and stories. Come talk to us and start your journey home today.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Honey, what are you doing? Let's cash out. Let's cash out.
Shop $5,000 or more at any Massey stores for a chance to win a 2024 Nissan Qashqai Sense and $100,000 every 2 weeks with Massey Stores Christmas Jackpot Promotion.
Welcome to Dinner Under the Stars. Indulge in a culinary feast prepared by our talented chefs, featuring locally sourced ingredients and exquisite flavors. Every bite will take you on a culinary journey, from unforgettable starters to delectable desserts. Relax to the soothing sounds of the stylistics and blue magic as the stars twinkle above, creating the perfect ambience for a romantic evening or memorable gathering. Join us for Dinner Under the Stars. Reserve your table today and create memories that will last a lifetime.
Minister of Foreign Affairs Hugh Todd today told the National Assembly that Guyana continues to give significant attention to the two border issues it has with neighboring Venezuela and Suriname. Contributing to this year's budget debate, the foreign minister said at the heart of Guyana's efforts is to ensure a peaceful resolution of all matters and good relations with Suriname and Venezuela. He said the approaches have been seeing some results. Mr. Todd recalled that because of the efforts being made, several international organizations have been publicly condemning the actions of Venezuela. But Venezuela has been moving ahead with its claim and even the planning of an election for a governor for Guyana's Essequibo region. As it relates to the border controversy with Suriname, the foreign minister said the border commission, which was set up between the two countries, will be meeting soon to further iron out issues and concerns raised.
The accumulation and analysis of historical documents relating to the unresolved border issues between the two countries has been and will continue to be given significant attention. Preparations are underway for the convening of a meeting of the border commission between Guyana and Suriname this year. We reaffirmed the commitment of our two countries to pursue the agreed initiatives within the Strategic Dialogue and Cooperation Platform, or the SDCP.
In rebutting the foreign minister, opposition member of parliament Sherrod Duncan said that the government has not been doing enough on the Venezuelan issue. He said it is the laid-back approach taken by the government that has emboldened Venezuelan officials.
All right-thinking Guyanese advised against the meeting in Argyle. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, for that meeting and what we expended on that. What have we to show for it?
Mr. Duncan said there must be no letting up in Guyana's defense of its territorial integrity. Now let's tell you that Opposition Member of Parliament Gita Chandan Edmund today offered her support to the positive measures of the national budget, while calling on the government to implement policies that would support the fair distribution of the country's wealth.
No budget is perfect, Mr. Speaker, and this one is no exception. It is our duty as legislators not to settle for good enough, but to demand more equity, more inclusion, and more action. The opposition's role here is not to obstruct progress, but it is to push for better outcomes. Criticism is not opposition for its own sake. It is a call to address gaps, correct missteps, and ensure that governance serves all people, regardless of their religion, class, creed.
MP Chandan Edmonds said the budget has pointed to several areas where urgent and decisive actions are required, including in the field of education, where she said there is need for reform. She said education must go beyond the building of schools and infrastructure, highlighting that there is a need for a comprehensive education policy that would cater for the development of both teachers and students.
Speaker, slogans like One Guyana or a Good Life must be more than aspirations. They must become lived realities. Our people deserve governance that prioritizes their needs and deliver results. National unity, security, and prosperity will not emerge on their own.
She also said the national budget should not be a source for division.
Mr. Speaker, and while I sit on the opposition benches, I must say this. I see no reason why this budget should be a source of division in this House once our proposals and recommendations are considered. There are measures in this budget that can and should be supported by all sides. Measures that speak to the heart of what government is about, improving the lives of our people. Speaker, I started off my speech by saying that with growth comes responsibility. Consistent with my duty to act for the benefit of the people of Guyana, I lend my full support to the positive budgetary measures of this budget.
MP Chandan Edmund told her colleagues on both sides of the House that she supports measures that alleviate poverty, fosters progress, peace, and prosperity. She said if the government and opposition can unite unanimously to pass legislation in the House, they can do the same for projects, policies, and programs in the best interest of the people of Guyana.
Mr. Speaker, I sit on the opposition benches, and as a member of the opposition, it is my solemn duty. I am required to examine the budget that has been presented to this House and to faithfully and truthfully pass judgments on its projects, policies, and programs. But while I sit on this side of the House, when it comes to our homeland Guyana, I believe all of us on both sides of the House should be on the same side, batting for our country and our people.
The opposition MP also said she supports measures that alleviate poverty and also supports progress, peace, prosperity, and commitment, along with ambition, liberty, and inspirations. On the industrial front right now, the suspended president and second vice president of the Guyana Teachers Union have turned to the High Court in an effort to have their suspensions overturned on the grounds that the suspensions were unlawful. GTU President Mark Light and second vice president Julian Cambridge have named the first vice president of the union, Mariska Williams, the general secretary, Coretta MacDonald, and 3 other executive members as the respondents in the case. The 2 suspended officials are asking the High Court to declare that the decision by the General Council of the GTU last December to suspend and bar them from carrying out their duties was unlawful, null and void, and made in breach of the Constitution of the Teachers Union. In general, Light and Cambridge want the High Court to set aside that decision and to further order MacDonald to vacate the post of General Secretary on the grounds that she cannot legally hold that office or any elected position within the union while being an elected member of the National Assembly. Laying down the grounds for the case, Light and Cambridge, through their attorney Kamal Ramkaran, argued that the motion that was tabled on the 17th of December last year to have them suspended was moved without notice and that they were not given any opportunity to properly respond to that motion. They said no investigations were done. In the joint affidavits, they also explained that during the period February 2024 and July 2024, the union engaged in industrial action against the state in public schools due to the absence of collective bargaining in negotiations between the state and the union. It was explained that after a period of litigation, terms of resumption were signed and negotiations resumed the state and the teachers' union negotiating committee, whose members are part of the General Council, and that they reached an agreement with the state following extensive consultations on government's proposal. Light in Cambridge said it was following the implementation of the measures by the state which had brought an end to the industrial action that the General Secretary began to criticize them for signing the controversial document and to tag the agreement as being one which is bad. They said it was then that the motion was moved for them to be suspended with immediate effect. Light said even before the motion was passed, he was immediately asked to vacate his seat as president and to stop chairing meetings of the union.
Welcome to Dinner Under the Stars. Indulge in a culinary feast prepared by our talented chefs, featuring locally sourced ingredients and exquisite flavors. Every bite will take you on a culinary journey, from unforgettable starters to delectable desserts. Relax to the soothing sounds of the stylistics and blue magic as the stars twinkle above, creating the perfect ambience for a romantic evening or memorable gathering. Join us for Dinner Under the Stars. Reserve your table today and create memories that will last a lifetime.
Your own home is so much more than just four walls, floors, and ceilings. It's a lifetime of great memories and stories. Come talk to us and start your journey home today.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Ready to up your game? Ready to up your game? Win big with over 60 epic prizes. A brand new PS5, Nintendo Switch, iPhone 16 Pro Max, Apple smartwatch, and the hottest earbuds from Apple and Samsung. Plus, we are giving away thousands in phone credit and a whole year supply of Buster or Turbo Energy drink. Here's how. Buy any Buster or Turbo Energy drink, find the code starting with BB and enter online or on WhatsApp. Visit us on Facebook or Instagram at Turbo_Caribbean or Buster Guyana for all the details. Don't just play. Up your game with Buster and Turbo Energy.
45-year-old Bartica resident Fizal Husman lost his life tragically this morning when he lost control of his pickup and slammed into a truck along the 8-mile trail at Tipiru in Bartica, according to the police. The accident occurred at around 6:45 this morning. The police report stated that after Husman's pickup slammed into the truck that was traveling in the opposite direction, it burst into flames as Husman remained trapped. The driver and occupants of the truck were assisted by passers-by and taken to the Bartica hospital for treatment. The Guyana Fire Service was summoned to the scene, and on arrival, the firemen extinguished the blaze. The burned body of the pickup driver was removed from the wreckage and taken to the Bartica Regional Hospital. The tragedy is on the probe tonight. Well, after failing to appear at the scheduled meeting of the Police Service Commission's tribunal yesterday, Embattled Assistant Commissioner of Police Calvin Brutus is now being requested to appear before the same tribunal on Monday to face questioning of allegations that have been filed against him. Mr. Brutus is already before the courts facing criminal charges in relation to some of the same accusations that the tribunal is now probing. According to the tribunal, it is examining a complaint that on the 11th of January 2024, Mr. Brutus gave instructions for payment of goods procured by the government of Guyana for the police force in the sum of just over $13.6 million to be made from the Guyana Police Force's Welfare Fund, in violation of Standing Order 36 of the Guyana Police Force. Additionally, the tribunal is examining a complaint that Mr. Brutus caused records at the quartermaster stores of the police force to be falsified, purporting to show that goods in the value of $101.4 million were delivered by Corey Nicholson, trading as 3D Construction, to the police force, knowing the same to be false, thereby causing payments in the said sum to be made. On Wednesday, the tribunal convened to commence its hearings. However, there was no appearance by Mr. Brutus. In a statement, the tribunal said it considers attempts by Mr. Brutus to evade service of the complaint and his continued non-appearances before the tribunal as flagrant and clandestine efforts to avoid appearing before the tribunal to answer to the disciplinary charges. The tribunal said it has since reissued a summons for Mr. Brutus to appear on Monday. It explained that the life of the tribunal expires at the end of 28 days from the 22nd of January, save for any extensions granted by the Police Service Commission. The body said it is hoped that the proceedings can be completed within a reasonable time frame to allow the tribunal to deliberate and prepare its report in writing and submit that report to the Police Service Commission. The members of the tribunal are former Commissioner of Police Silal Posad, Attorney Kiyomo Griffith, and Shoshana Lal, who is the Assistant Solicitor General. She is serving as the chairperson of the tribunal. The Alliance for Change plans to engage the international community as early as next week over what it sees as the failure of the Guyana Elections Commission to act on recommendations that followed the highly controversial 2020 elections. A team from the AFC met with the Elections Commission on Thursday. At the end of that meeting, the AFC declared that it was convinced that the Elections Commission is incapable of hosting elections this year. During a press conference on Thursday evening, leader of the Alliance for Change, Nigel Hughes, said at the meeting with the chairman and commissioners of GCOM, it was revealed that the Elections Commission did not act on any of the recommendations made by regional and international observers back in 2020. According to Mr. Hughes, it was also revealed that there was no review of the 2020 elections and the operations of the elections machinery then. He said those revelations are deeply disturbing.
We indicated to the Commission no later than 20 to 25 minutes after the commencement of the meeting that given what we had just witnessed, and that was during a very hostile exchange between the commissioners, what we had just witnessed in the Commission, that we have no confidence that the Commission, given the way it currently operates, and given what had clearly become evident that there was a lack of direction, lack of cohesion, and lack of definitive positions, that the Commission, as it is presently structured and the way it presently conducts its operations, was and would be incapable of delivering credible elections for 2025.
Hughes said it is unfortunate that GCOM did not see the need to review its operations or act on the recommendations from the regional and international observers. In its report on the 2020 elections in Guyana, the Atlanta-based Carter Center noted that at the time there were 660,988 persons registered as voters for the 2020 elections, which represented an increase of 15.5% from the 2015 elections. It said the number of registered voters seemed to be disproportionate to the country's estimated population, and therefore recommended that before the next elections, the government reassess and overhaul both the process and the technology used to create and manage the voter registration database. However, while the National Assembly back in December of 2022 amended a number of the country's election laws, the voters list remains an issue of contention, with the Elections Commission stating repeatedly that it could only comply with the existing laws. The opposition has also been pushing for the use of enhanced biometrics at the place of poll. But Hughes said many of the issues raised by political parties and observers have not been addressed by the Elections Commission.
Now that we have had from GCOM an express statement that they have not conducted any review or any or implemented any of the recommendations of the international community, we will certainly be going to each one of them individually. CARICOM, the Organization of American States, all of them, Carter Center, the European Union, and we will say to them, certainly by early next week, we have had this meeting, and GCOM has said that they have not carried out any of the recommendations that they made in 2020.
The Alliance for Change leader also said pressure must be mounted on both the government and the Elections Commission to reverse the decisions on a number of important issues, including enhanced biometrics. He said as of now, the AFC strongly believes that GCOM is in no position to hold free and fair elections.
GCOM admitted that it had conducted no review of the 2020 elections, absolutely none. It had not conducted any review of its operations. It had not conducted any review of the third-party suppliers to them. It had not conducted any review in the way in which they internally managed the 2020 election.
Hughes said the meeting was revealing and GCOM has been poorly managing a number of important issues. He said the election secretariat is clearly ill-prepared. Now let's tell you that declaring that persons staying away from work affects productivity and hampers the government's social delivery of efforts, President Irfan Ali has announced that a closer look will be taken into public servants who abuse sick leave and the doctors who are aiding them. During a recent meeting with heads of the health, education, and other departments, the president said apart from having human resources constraints at many of the offices, the officials have also complained about staff members who are submitting frequent sick leave approvals to stay away from work.
The abuse of sick leave and private doctors being used in the process of aiding this abuse of sick leave, especially for key and critical staff, and they've asked that strong measures be recommended because this affects productivity and efficiency in the delivery of service.
President Ali said he has charged all program heads to ensure whatever measures have to be put in place be in place for the smooth delivery of government services. He said the issue of the abuse of sick leave cannot be able to continue unchecked.
All the program heads in the regions have been given a clear mandate, a clear strategy has been outlined, and I've made it very clear that they're going to be held accountable for the delivery of service to people. Service that is efficient, reliable, transparent, accountable, open, and ensuring that our systems work.
Ali also said although the government continues to make heavy investments in crucial sectors, it is still being blamed for not providing services. These, he said, are due to some bottlenecks and bureaucracy at a lower level.
We have been able to look at the structural issues, the human resource challenges. They themselves also spoke about indiscipline within the system, absenteeism from work.
During visits to a number of communities over the past few weeks, the president has faced complaints and criticism from residents about the poor delivery of government services.
Guyana's economy is rapidly transforming, and we're all part of it. Guyoil is at the forefront of this development by providing reliable and efficient energy and supporting community development from the very core. 100% of Guyana's profit goes back to building schools, roads, and other important infrastructure that connects our cities and towns, providing fuel to domestic, marine, industrial, and aerial transportation. Guyana has now repositioned itself as a market leader in the petroleum industry, building a better future for all of us.
What was supposed to be a night of celebration turned into disaster after 4 friends who were all drunk left the bar in the city without a designated driver. Designate a driver. Don't drink and drive.
It all starts with one. Maybe it's one look. You know the one. Or one touch. Even one word. It can start with one step. Or one promise. One thrill. One first time. One deep breath. One leap of faith. One day to remember. Or one night to forget. One moment. So many stories that make up one crazy, average, everyday, fabulous life. We get one life. Just one. Make your move. It all starts with one.
Across the region tonight, let's begin in Jamaica, where the Director of Public Prosecutions there, Paula Llewellyn, believes the country's justice system is not yet ready for judge-alone trials and says she therefore does not support ending jury trials. The Chief Justice in Jamaica, Brian Sykes, has been advocating for support to end jury trials, arguing that bench trials, in which matters are handled without a jury, would save judicial time and allow for more cases to be tried while offering a better quality of service. But the DPP in Jamaica said she is not in favor of such a move. She said with the greatest of respect to her colleagues on the bench, there are some streetwise nuances that come out in the evidence that really it's only jurors would understand. And they would find that some judges are tempted to become too legalistic in looking at evidence. She was at the time speaking on the TVJ Smile Jamaica program, and she stressed that in cases where credibility is the issue, it is easier, in her opinion, for the average juror to separate the issues. The island's chief prosecutor's comments come amid a discussion on the lengthy trials and delays in the court system in Jamaica. In Colombia, more than 32,000 people have fled the northern Colombian region of Catatumbo, where the 2 rival rebel groups are engaged in a bloody battle. At least 80 people have been killed over recent days amid the surge in fighting between rebels from the National Liberation Army and dissident factions of the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia. One official government agency said it had received reports of one group of rebels going house to house and killing those suspected of ties with rival groups. The government has declared a state of emergency, and the first of a planned deployment of 5,000 soldiers have arrived in the area. The president of Colombia, Gustavo Petro, said earlier this week that the state had failed to contain the violence, but that it would learn from that failure. And finally tonight, international news. Ukraine reportedly hit a Russian oil refinery and targeted Moscow during an attack involving a wave of at least 121 drones, one of the largest single operations of its kind during the war. Video footage verified by the BBC shows a fireball rising over the refinery and pumping station in the Ryazan region southeast of Moscow, which Ukrainian officials said was a target. Russia said it had shot down 121 drones that had targeted 13 regions, including Ryazan and Moscow, but reported no damage. Elsewhere, Ukrainian authorities said 3 people were killed and 1 was injured when a Russian drone hit a residential building in the Kiev region in Ukraine. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight and this week. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting and encouraging you to have a safe and enjoyable night and weekend.